Alright, so something pretty interesting happened over the past week that most people probably missed. But if you're a developer or you follow AI closely, this one's actually kind of massive. OpenAI just quietly dropped what might be their most important coding model yet, and it all started with a single word showing up on GitHub: Caribou. Now, at first glance, you might think this is just another incremental update, right? Another model in the endless stream of AI releases we've been seeing lately. But here's the thing. This isn't just another model. This is GPT-5.2 Codex, and the way OpenAI rolled this out tells us a lot about where they think the real battle is happening right now. So let's rewind a bit. GPT-5.2 launched recently, and OpenAI made it very clear this was designed for professional knowledge work. Not hobbyists, not students, but people doing serious, complex work. And that positioning was intentional, because the next logical step was always going to be a coding model that could handle real-world developer workflows. Enter Caribou. Developers started noticing references to this internal codename popping up in OpenAI's GitHub repositories. Now, internal codenames show up all the time. Most of them never see the light of day. But when Caribou started appearing in the actual model selector interface, that's when people knew this was real. That's typically the last thing OpenAI touches before something goes live. Here's where it gets interesting, though. Usually, OpenAI releases a standard version and then a max tier, right? The max tier is more expensive, more powerful, limited access. But with Caribou, there's no max variant. It's just one model built on GPT 5.2. And that's it. No tiers, no fragmentation. Everything in one package. That's not an accident. OpenAI's been feeling the heat lately. Google and Anthropic have been closing the gap fast, and in some areas they're actually ahead. Word is that Gemini 3 caught Sam Altman's attention internally, and the timing of GPT 5.2 landing basically confirms that. So instead of splitting performance across different price points, they're consolidating everything into one really strong baseline and pushing it out everywhere. On December 19th, Caribou officially became GPT 5.2 Codex and went live for ChatGPT Plus users and API customers. Now, this model is specifically tuned for what they're calling agentic coding. That's not autocomplete. That's not writing a function for you. This is about handling long-running tasks, massive repositories, refactors, migrations, the kind of stuff that takes hours, not minutes. To pull that off, they leaned heavily on something called context compaction, which basically means the model can stay coherent even as conversations get absolutely enormous. Anyone who's used AI coding tools knows they tend to lose the plot once the context window fills up. This one apparently doesn't, and it does it without blowing through your token budget. The tool calling is also way more reliable now, which matters when you're chaining commands, running tests, iterating inside the CLI. Speaking of which, the Codex CLI now has native Windows support. And that might sound boring, but if you've ever tried running serious AI tooling on Windows, you know it's usually terrible. This time, they actually made it work properly. On benchmarks, GPT 5.2 Codex is hitting state-of-the-art on S-Bench Pro and Terminal Bench, which test actual software engineering tasks, not toy problems. Early feedback from devs says it feels methodical, not flashy, which is exactly what you want when you're knee-deep in a debugging session. There's also vision support now. You can feed it screenshots, diagrams, UI mockups, and it'll turn them into working prototypes. That's huge for teams trying to move fast from design to implementation without a bunch of handoffs. And then there's the security angle. OpenAI's positioning this as a defensive tool as well, with an invite-only trusted access program for security researchers. They're adding sandboxing, configurable network access, all the stuff you'd want if you're going to let an AI agent loose on sensitive code. So yeah, Caribou, or GPT 5.2 Codex, whatever you want to call it, this is a big deal. It's OpenAI saying they're done playing around with incremental improvements. They're consolidating power, focusing on real workflows, and trying to stay ahead of the competition. And honestly, it's working. Make sure to subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.